Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Berkeley virtual visit today. We're excited to share Berkeley with you all. I know there's a lot happening in the world right now, and we really appreciate you taking an hour of your day to spend with us. With that being said, my name is Harmenjit, and I will be the moderator for today's visit. I go by the She series, aka she, her, and hers for my pronouns. I'm from Modesto, California. If you're from California, it's in the Central Valley. If you're not from California, it's about an hour and a half away from Berkeley, so not too far. I am going to be a senior, which I always say this, but super surreal to think about. And I am double majoring in molecular and cell biology and public health. In addition to being a campus ambassador, I'm an undergraduate student instructor, which is kind of like a TA. You'll learn a little bit more about graduate student instructors further in the tour. For MCB 32, which is a lower division human physiology course, I'm involved in Matriculate, which is a national nonprofit that empowers low-income, high-achieving high school students. Cub Support, an organization that provides academic support to K through 12 students. I volunteer at a hospital. I'm involved in an organization called Camp Kesem. I'm involved in Golden Bear orientation. I currently scribe at a clinic, and I dabble in a bit of research. And before I pass it on to our amazing tour guides, I just have a few housekeeping items to go over really quickly. Our presentation today will be 40 to 45 minutes long, but we'll go ahead and share our student perspective and Berkeley experiences with you all. Please note that the chat has been disabled, so please ask us any and all questions using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. In addition to the campus ambassadors you see here, we have several campus ambassadors on the back end that are excited to answer your questions. So please feel free to ask any and all questions at any time throughout the visit today. It's a perfect opportunity for you to get answers from a current Berkeley student. I know some of you probably graduated high school, congrats. You might want to start that, research for college. You'll also be seeing polls pop up on your screen throughout the visit. Since we're sharing our information with you all, we love to get to know you all a little bit more, so please participate in our short polls. Also, please note that we do have recorded virtual visits available on our website. If you'd like to check those out after today's visit, please keep in mind that this campus overview is given from the student perspective and that today's presenters are not representatives of the admissions or financial aid departments. If you have any specific questions pertaining to those areas, then please feel free to contact those departments directly. Additionally, there's actually a separate admissions tour that you might be interested in. Finally, we'll end the tour with the Q&A. We'll answer some of your questions live. So again, please ask us all those questions that you have. And with that, I've been talking a lot, so I'll go ahead and pass it to our amazing ambassadors that will be leading our presentation today.
Hi everyone, my name is Emmeline and I will be one of your campus ambassadors for today. I use the pronouns she, her, and hers. I'm originally from a small town in Southern California called Aliso Viejo. I'm actually coming to you live from there right now, home for the summer, which I'm really happy about. I am a rising junior, which is crazy to say, double majoring in economics as well as public health. Regarding my involvement on campus, I used to work in the office of ASUC Senator Rebecca Sue. The ASUC is essentially our student government here at Cal. And within her office, I was the UIC Ancillary Chair and am actually taking the presidential role this upcoming year. UIC stands for Unity in Christ. I am a professing Christian, and so if you have any questions regarding faith or what it means to practice religion on campus, I'd be more than happy to address those. I'm also a part of a homeless outreach club called Hands and Feet, where we basically go out each weekend to serve our underserved population in Berkeley. And during a normal year, I'm super involved with I Am a Volleyball and I Am softball teams, and I'm really excited for the gyms to open back up in the fall. Super looking forward to, getting back to playing sports again. And with that, I'll hand it over to Sophia.
Thanks, Emmeline. You'll have to tell me about I Am Volleyball in the future because I am looking forward to playing some intramural sports next semester. But hi, everyone. My name's Sofia. I go by the pronouns she, her, and hers, and I'm originally from Glendale, California, which is just outside Los Angeles. I just finished up my freshman year, and I am thinking about majoring in environmental economics and policy, and potentially double majoring in history as well. Aside from being a campus ambassador, I'm also involved with BEEPS, which is Berkeley Environmental Economics and Policy Students. So it's essentially a club to facilitate some community within that kind of a niche major in some ways. So I've had a lot of fun pursuing some professional opportunities and community with that club. I'm also working as a dockhand at Cal Adventures, which is at the Berkeley Marina. And that's so much fun. I get to rent out sailboating, paddleboarding, and kayaking equipment to Berkeley students free of charge right now during COVID. And I love spending time at the Berkeley Marina. It's one of the most beautiful places in Berkeley, in my opinion. And so that's been a lot of fun. And then I'm also involved with Hermanos Unidos, which is one of Berkeley's Latinx student organizations here on campus. Great, so I'm going to take this opportunity to welcome you all to Berkeley. It's unfortunate that we can't be together in person on campus, but hopefully these pictures can sort of give you a taste of Berkeley's personality and charm. I'll just mention quickly that we recently celebrated 150 years of women at Berkeley, which is a really special and celebrated part of our history. This means that we only took 2 years to start admitting women into the university, and we are really, really prideful about that. There's also a huge culture of school spirit and camaraderie here on campus, and tradition as well. You'll see that reflected in the upper left-hand corner. That's one of our football games, and students have a lot of fun embracing their identity as Cal Bears, and that's one of many pluses of attending a large public institution, is that we're all united in that Golden Bear identity, and we love to reflect that at Cal Games. In the center there, you'll see one of many bear statues scattered throughout campus. Students have a lot of fun trying to find them all. I certainly have not discovered all of them yet, but it's almost like a little mini scavenger hunt. And this bear in particular is outside of our football stadium. He's called Sturdy the Bear, and sometimes students will climb inside of him and pretend like they're being hugged or something. So I'm excited to take a picture with him as well. And then in the upper left right-hand corner, you'll see some students hanging out on Memorial Glade, which is arguably the most popular spot on campus. It is a lush green field where you can hang out with friends, study, maybe grab a bite to eat, and it's near the center of campus. So you will definitely get a good sense of Berkeley when you're spending time there. So we're also just going to pop up a quick poll to get to know you all, so we can tailor the tour a little bit more to your liking.
All right, and while you guys are answering that poll, just a brief agenda of what we'll be going over in the next 40 minutes. We'll start off with an overview of Berkeley and its history, then we'll go into academics. What is it like to be a student here at Cal? Then housing and dining, health and safety, other resources in student life, what are clubs like, what are athletics like, as well as libraries and research. And then we'll also be sure to touch on remote learning, although hopefully that's not something that you guys are going to have to deal with once you become students here at Cal. And from our poll, it looks like we have a lot of high school seniors. So congrats guys, you're in your final year. I'm sure you're all starting to think about college this summer and college applications. So yeah, please feel free to use that Q&A if you have any questions at all regarding any of the information on the slides or even off of it as well. We'd be more than happy to address all of those.
Great, so like Emmeline mentioned, I'm going to give a brief history of the university. We were founded in 1868, and we were actually the first University of California campus to be established. You might be familiar with UCLA, UC Davis, UC Santa Cruz, etc. But we were actually the flagship campus, and because of that, we get to go by a variety of names, including Berkeley, Cal, and the University of California. Our mascot is, of course, the Golden Bears, and our physical mascot is the lovely Oski. You'll see pictured in the upper left-hand corner there. I recently got to hang out with Oski a little bit this past semester. He was kind of meandering around campus and taking pictures with prospective students and families, and it was a lot of fun getting to see him in person for the first time. In terms of campus size, we are a large public research institution, and we have just over 30,000 undergraduate students and just under 12,000 graduate students. So we are definitely a large institution, but if you have any worries about that, they will definitely be mediated when you come to campus, as there are infinite ways to make this campus smaller and more intimate and personal, depending on your preferences as a student. In terms of historical landmarks, you will see the Campanile pictured in the upper right-hand corner there. You get a nice drone aerial view. I personally have not been able to go to the top, but as you can see, there's just such a wonderful view at the top there. But this is actually the third largest clock and bell tower in the entire world, and the fact that it's sitting right on Berkeley's campus is kind of an extraordinary aspect of our campus. You'll also see Sather Gate pictured in the lower right-hand corner there. This is also another beautiful structure here on campus. You might have seen this structure pictured in some popular films such as Ant-Man and the Wasp, or maybe Monsters, Inc. It's sort of become an icon of academia, and we're really proud to house that structure on campus.
For sure. I'm super excited for your first time to go up the Campanile, Sophia. I feel like it's one of the best views of the bay. On a clear day, you can see the Golden Gate Bridge, and watching the sunset from the top of the Campanile, there's nothing like it. To speak a little bit about campus culture, I feel like something that makes Berkeley unique from other college campuses is really the students. Everyone here truly are change makers, no matter what they're studying. Everyone's doing their best and are passionate about what they're studying in order to make a real difference in this world. So a lot of this started with the free speech movement back in 1964. You can see that in the black and white photo in the top right-hand corner. That was led by Mario Savio, one of the students here at Cal. And basically they just protested peacefully for their right to talk about politics on campus, because previously that wasn't something that the administration allowed. And not only did that spark a movement on our campus, it sparked a movement across the entire nation. And so college students during this year were protesting all around to advocate for their right to talk about what they believed in on campus. And since then, I really feel like that's a culture that's been instilled into every single student that comes to Cal. A lot of this plays itself out through leadership and challenging the status quo and entrepreneurship. Like I said, no matter whether you're in like the liberal arts or you're studying STEM, everyone is not just studying just for the sake of studying something in college, but are passionate about what they're doing and they want to make a real impact on this world. And that also bleeds into our research and innovation here on campus. We'll touch on research a little bit later, but we are the #1 public research institution in the world. And there's so much that's happening on campus all the time. Again, to touch on our community, I feel like we're compassionate too. We're people that care about the world and care about other people and social justice. We also have a lot of spirit and pride too. I feel like our students are really proud to be Golden Bears. Even our alumni too. I was, at Disneyland the year after my freshman year and saw someone wearing a Cal hat, and I was wearing a Cal sweater, and they were like, "Oh, go Bears!" And I had never met this person in my life, but just said, "Go Bears" back. And there's that kind of just sense of pride of all of us, having gone through this experience of being Cal students. And honestly, game days are like none other. I feel like the whole campus gets decked out in blue and gold, and our rally committee that you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, they're always there putting on rallies, and the Cal band comes out and plays music and tries to get everyone hyped up for the game. And so it's honestly such a fun environment to be at. And we also pursue diversity in everything that we do, as well as excellence. And public service is also something that is very much on the forefront of our minds. Like I mentioned, I'm part of a community service club that serves our homeless community in Berkeley. But there's so many different student organizations here that are, going out into the world, going out into our communities, and doing things to help people and make a real difference.
Thanks, Emmeline. You did such a great job of summarizing Berkeley culture, which is honestly the reason I chose to come to Cal. And I love hearing about the free speech movement too, as a prospective history major, because I love that Berkeley's culture of change making is supported by such a long history of challenging the status quo and supporting student advocacy. But yeah, that spirit certainly extends beyond the classroom. You'll see a picture of a protest pictured in the upper left-hand corner. And as someone who's really passionate about student advocacy and protesting, this notion really permeates throughout Berkeley's student body and is, like I mentioned before, one of the main reasons I chose to attend here. Not only are the students super passionate about their respective causes, but this kind of advocacy is supported institutionally by Berkeley. You'll also see in the middle two images that the same spirit is reflected in our research and our essentially our dedication to pursuing innovation at a number of different levels. And like Emmeline mentioned before, we also have a huge school spirit. The rally committee is pictured in the upper right-hand corner there. They work to facilitate school spirit, like I mentioned before. And then in that lower left-hand corner, excuse me, we have our band and cheer squad. And they of course also contribute to that culture of school spirit and camaraderie, healthy competition, and tradition as well.
For sure. And, that impact that we're making on the world is not just, in the past or in the future, it's actually happening right now. So with education regarding access and scalability, obviously you guys know, having gone through this past year, we have been doing completely remote learning. So everything's been online. Our institution did a really great job, in my opinion, on providing all the technology, and, they invested a lot of money in order to give students laptops and Wi-Fi routers and chargers and anything that they might need to be successful still in the classroom, while also doing it from their bedroom or wherever they were at. And so, yeah, I just thought it was really awesome how our school really supported all of our students, no matter where their financial needs were. We also had the student technology program and remote youth program still happening this past year as well. You can see in the top right, one of our professors were giving a girls in engineering remote camp, which I think is a great opportunity for the youth in the area to just be exposed to STEM research and to higher education, and get them start thinking early about, oh, maybe, Cal or a college is something that I want to pursue in the future. And regarding COVID research, so we were actually doing a lot of trial testing this past year. You may have gotten no swab to get tested, but we were doing testing with spitting into a tube. And so I'm actually not sure if that's something that's still going on, because I think we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but that was something that was happening on our campus this past year. But we were not only just studying, how does COVID infect, and testing people if they're infected with COVID, but we were also looking at the cultural and economic impact as well. So what kind of cultural groups are being affected the most by COVID, and, how is this impacting different people in different locations and in different socioeconomic statuses. And so that was all something that we're still doing as well, just researching about who it's disproportionately affecting. And that also kind of bleeds into, advocacy and social justice with human rights. We're very much anti-racism, have programs here that are trying to support our students with to be as resilient as possible against everything that's happened this past year, as well as prevent trauma and burnout as well. I'm sure you as students can attest, Zoom burnout is very real. And so we're feeling that as well. And we've been doing a lot of research on why that is, and how we can best prevent that as well. So yeah, a lot going on right now on our campus at all times.
Great, so you guys should be seeing a poll popping up asking about interest as it pertains to your academic area of interest. But quickly, I'm going to go over some of our undergraduate colleges. We have 5 undergraduate colleges, including the College of Letters and Science, the Rausser College of Natural Resources, the College of Environmental Design, the College of Chemistry, and the College of Engineering. And quickly, I'll make a note here about transferring between colleges versus applying directly into them. We do recommend that if you're interested in pursuing a major within the College of Chemistry or the College of Engineering, that you apply directly into those colleges as a first-year student or a transfer student, as they are typically harder to transfer into from the other colleges once you're at Cal. But for the other 3 colleges, there is some more flexibility in terms of transferring in and out of them. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are filling out your application.
Yeah, so now we're going to go briefly over all of the individual colleges. I saw from the poll that you guys have a really wide variety of interests, so we're definitely going to try to breeze through all of them. If you have any questions at all, please use that Q&A function down below. But we're going to start with the College of LNS, or Letters and Science. I'm a little bit biased because this is the college that I am housed in, and it does hold 3/4 of our undergraduate population. So chances are, for those who were interested in the social sciences or liberal arts, this will be the college that you will be held in. There are 5 divisions that you can see there. And something that I love that it's unique about this college is that we have a 7 breadth requirement. So basically our 7 breadth requirement requires you to take 7 different classes from, historical class to an art class to a physical science class and everything in between. And it was really great for me coming in as a freshman because I had no idea what I wanted to do, came in completely undeclared, and this breadth requirement exposed me to a lot of different interests and subjects and classes and topics and things like that. And so if you're not sure what you want to study in college, this will be a great place for you to start. We do have over 80 different majors here. And yeah, we have 17 of our 25 Nobel Prizes in this college as well. So yeah, if you're not really sure what you want to do, or you're not one of the subjects that will fall into the next 4 colleges, chances are you'll be in the College of LNS.
So now I'm super excited because I get to talk about the Rausser College of Natural Resources, which is the college that I'm in. And this college holds an environmental focus through a lens of sustainability and social justice. And I absolutely love this college for a number of reasons. But one of the main reasons that I love it is because of the diversity in terms of the ways that students and faculty are approaching environmental questions and decision-making. So for example, the environmental focuses range from biological sciences to nutrition and toxicology to ecosystem management, interdisciplinary studies, social sciences, and economics and policy, which is the focus that I've chosen to pursue as an environmental and economics and policy major. But I also think that this college is unique because it's the classes and the students within this college recognize that environmental issues aren't occurring in a vacuum. They have the choices that we make surrounding the environment are affecting real communities and real people. And I also think the sentiment is really well reflected in our slogan, which is see the bigger picture, make a better world. And I'm sure a lot of people have their own personal interpretations of this. But I like to think about seeing the bigger picture as a more literal interpretation of our planet and the potential that we have to better that planet, because we're inhabiting it for better or for worse, and we have a huge capacity to improve those circumstances as students.
And kind of staying on the environmental focus, this is our College of Environmental Design, the smallest college we have here at Cal with just around 650 students. So there are only 4 majors that are housed in the CED, and you can see those 4 there. They all revolve around architecture and environmental design. And honestly, my friends that I know who are in this college absolutely love being here. They love that it's a small college because they all take the same classes. They really have their own little unique family going on. And their goal is honestly, just like Sofia said, for the last college, I feel like is a beautiful way of what they're trying to do. They're trying to craft ecologically sustainable and resilient, prosperous and fair, healthy and beautifully built environments. So, not just buildings for the sake of buildings, but buildings with a purpose and buildings that have an environmental sustainable focus around them and intentionality. And something that's really unique about this college is that all of these students have access to studio space that you can see in the top right. So they have access to 3D printers there and anything that they might need for their blueprints or models or things like that. It's a really great college if you're interested in anything revolving around architecture, and it is ranked number 4 globally. So there's an extra little cherry on top for a reason why you should study here as well if you're interested.
Next up is our College of Chemistry, which is ranked number 1 globally. It's on the smaller end. It houses about 1,000 students, and it contains just 3 majors: chemistry, chemical engineering, and chemical biology. And innovation and research is a huge area of focus in this college, as 16 elements were actually discovered here on the periodic table, including berkelium and californium, which are 2 fun elements pretty obviously named after the university, which is pretty cool in my opinion, pretty cool flex. You'll also see the Lewis dot structure was discovered at Berkeley. You might be familiar with this way of diagramming the sharing of electrons between atoms if you ever took a high school chemistry class. But yes, that way of diagramming was discovered here, and I think really just speaks to the kind of innovation and progress that comes out of this college.
And last but certainly not least, our College of Engineering. This does have around 3,800 students with 11 different majors. I would like to specifically note that, though, that the chemical engineering is the only engineering major that is not housed here. Chemical engineering is housed in the College of Chemistry. And that's just because a lot of their classes overlap with chemistry classes a little bit more than they do with engineering, although they definitely get both sides. So you do apply directly to this college, to a major, but you do also get a wide variety of exposure to both humanity and social science breadth classes, kind of like the 7 breadths I mentioned with the College of Letters and Science, but they also still get those technical courses, of course, that you would assume that you'd be taking with engineering. We could literally talk about engineering for an entire hour, which is why we created a completely separate engineering virtual visit. So if you guys are interested in engineering or have more questions, or are more wanting to go more deeper into the different types of engineering majors, please go sign up for that virtual visit at the same place you signed up for this. Our ambassadors are super informative, and I very much encourage you guys to go check that out. We are ranked number 9 globally here. And do also have a great model to transform the lives of our students by preparing them to become successful leaders and innovators for positive change. So once again, very much that change maker drive that we were talking about earlier.
Next, I'm going to speak a little bit about our graduate schools. We have 9 graduate schools on campus, including the Haas School of Business, the School of Education, the School of Information, Berkeley Law, the School of Social Welfare, optometry, journalism, public health, and public policy. And what's really unique about our graduate schools is that a lot of them offer undergraduate opportunities for research or other involvement. And particularly our Haas School of Business offers an undergraduate degree in business that you can apply into at the end of your sophomore year, if that's something that you're interested in. They also offer several other business opportunities that you can apply into as a first year, including the Global Management Program and MET, as well as Biology and Business. So if business is an area of interest for you, you should definitely look into those programs a little bit more.
For sure. And I know I saw on our poll earlier that we had a handful of students interested in business. So please, if you have more questions about those programs, please use a Q&A and someone can direct you to more information. But basically regarding the structure and class sizes, what would it be like if you were to be a student here? So most of our classes have 2 parts, the lecture and the discussion. So lecture is hosted by your professor. It may be upwards of 300, 400 students, although that's not all of them for sure. And that is what you typically think of when you think of college lectures. But then there's also discussion sections that support those larger lecture sizes. So those discussions are led by graduate student instructors or GSIs. And the GSIs work really closely with the professor to supplement you with any other information or to honestly just answer your more personalized questions in a more intimate setting, because those discussion sizes will be around 25 to 30 students. So you'll definitely be able to get more of that hands-on learning if you're interested in it. And there's also office hours as well. Both your professor as well as your GSIs will hold office hours at least once a week. And so you can go in and get those personalized questions answered. We also have a 19-to-1 student to faculty ratio, which is actually quite impressive if you consider how large of a public institution we are. And 81% of our classes have fewer than 50 students. So that 500 student class that I mentioned earlier, those are typically your general education classes that have that are a prerequisite class for a lot of overlapping majors. But the further on you go and the older you get, the smaller and smaller those classes will become. There's also a lot of hands-on labs and studios as well, specifically for those within engineering or chemistry. There's a lot of opportunities for you to be in the lab and work with your hands and chemicals and things like that. And regarding resources, we have the Student Learning Center, or SLC for short, which is basically an opportunity for you to get free tutoring from students by students. I personally have a very soft place in my heart for the SLC because I took a calculus course my very first semester here at Cal. And let me tell you, would not have done nearly as well in that class if I had not used the SLC. It really saved my grade, and it was really awesome to go and talk to students who took the same exact class with the same exact professor as I did. So they really knew what was going on and how to best prepare for the midterms and finals and things like that. And there's also individual advising opportunities as well as if you're just needing a little bit extra support in some of your classes.
I actually had a similar experience to Emmeline with the Student Learning Center and my calculus class, especially during the online format this past semester. I was really struggling in this calculus class, and within like 24 hours, the Student Learning Center helped me out with joining 2 study groups, and I also got some private tutoring online, which honestly saved my grade as well. So that's such a great resource, and I'm glad that it fully transitioned to the online format as well. But speaking of online formats, this past fall and spring were completely delivered remotely. We kept our hybridization goals in line with the CDC guidelines. And I'll just say, as someone who's only experienced Berkeley from an online perspective, I'd say that Berkeley has done an excellent job of transitioning its resources and its goals as a university into a remote setting. The academic experience was also facilitated by Zoom. All Berkeley students were given Zoom Pro accounts as sort of a measure of equity. We also had synchronous and asynchronous learning as well to accommodate students who were potentially international students joining classes at, strange times like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I had a student in my class who was in Korea, and he was definitely assisted by the asynchronous learning options. So in addition to that, we also have virtual drop-in tutoring. Like I mentioned before, all of those resources completely transitioned to online formats. And I'll just emphasize that Berkeley really embraces that culture of change making and adapting to change. And it really took on the challenges of COVID-19 with a lot of it was just like a respectful transition, I'll say.
All right, and now to kind of transition more into housing and dining, you should see another poll popping up on your screen. Where are you guys joining us from? We're really curious to see where you guys are at right now. To talk about the typical housing details, we do have residential halls and suites, and those are dormitories that are given priority to freshmen. So we just encourage you, if you do end up coming to Cal on your housing application, for your last choice, you get all these options of what kind of rooms you want to be in. For your last choice, make sure to put any room, any location, and that'll ensure that you get a priority housing offer. Regarding resources for housing, all of our floors do have residential assistants or RAs. Those are typically upperclassmen that have been through, a couple of years at Cal now and are really just wanting to be a friend and a mentor and a support to all of the incoming freshmen and new students who maybe just need a little help getting acclimated to the environment and being pointed to different resources. We also have theme programs as well. So if you identify within the Latinx community or African American community or Asian Pacific Islander or even women in STEM, there's a bunch of theme programs where you live on a floor filled with people who also identify within the same theme. And so that's an awesome opportunity for you to, make friends and get acclimated in a way that maybe helps you feel a little bit more comfortable while here at Cal. And we also have common areas within all of our residential halls and suites as well. I remember my freshman dorm, I was in Unit 1, a little plug, I loved Unit 1. And we had, on the bottom floor, a foosball table and a ping pong table and TVs and couches and just places to, hang out with friends and chill till 3 in the morning and, make, memories that you'll never forget. And so, and with that, we'd also like to inform you guys that meal plans are included within your housing package. And so how that works is you get a certain amount of meal swipes on your Cal One card or your student ID. And you just use that to swipe into one of the dining halls. And then from there, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet style. So you can eat all that you want. And I know this is a little bit controversial among students, but I actually loved the dining halls. I thought that, there was just so many different options that you could eat from. And so I know if you have any dietary restrictions or just different food allergies or preferences, there will be something for you to eat. Don't worry. There's so many different things and different options. And during housing for COVID this past year, we were having our rooms just as single occupancy. Normally there are doubles or triples, but they were all just single rooms. All students were required to wear face masks outside of their rooms. And they kind of set up these social pods where the same 8 to 10 students would be seeing each other. And so they had their little bubble so that they could still get that, face-to-face interaction with people while also still trying to minimize the spread as much as possible.
Great. So Berkeley typically only guarantees housing for freshmen. So for continuing students, that's not to worry. There are several amazing housing options offered on and off campus. So if you are interested in continuing with Berkeley housing, there are several housing options offered by the university that you can apply into. But if that doesn't work out, there are a flurry of other options as well, including the International House, which largely houses international students, but does not exclusively house international students. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, you can definitely look into that for a housing option. There are also affiliated properties and off-campus apartments. I'm going to be living in an off-campus apartment. It's about a 5-minute walk from campus next fall, which I'm really excited about with my 2 roommates. And in addition, there's also co-op housing, which is more of a communal style housing. You essentially put in some manual labor, and in return, you get a little bit of a discount on your pricing for that living option. And then if you're interested in joining a sorority or a fraternity, your Greek system may have some housing options for you to check out. They most likely will, depending on which one you join. And then if you're also interested in keeping your meal option after your first year, you're free to do so, no matter where you're living on campus. Berkeley offers that meal plan option for all 4 years if that's something that you choose to opt into. And then if you have any more questions about Cal housing, we have a lot of questions answered on our website, housing.berkeley.edu. So you can check that out if you are curious about housing.
All right. And, something that we very much prioritize while being here on campus is the health and safety of our students. So we have so many different resources for you guys to keep you guys safe. One of them being urgent care, primary care, physical therapy. Those are all held within the Ting Center, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. It's basically a one-stop shop for everything that you might need regarding your physical health. I remember going there just before I came home for summer I had to get an immunization shot in order to prepare for my internship while I'm home. And the process was super easy. They were really helpful in just pointing me in the right direction. I was in and out right away. And it's super conveniently located as well, just literally across the street from campus. So very walkable, very much in a convenient location. All of our students are required to have some sort of insurance while on campus, so they're automatically enrolled in the student health insurance plan, or SHIP for short. However, you can opt out of it and into your own private insurance or your parents' insurance if that's what you're hoping for. This past year, we were doing a bunch of COVID testing and tracing as well, like we've mentioned, and that was free for all students. So I remember before coming home for Thanksgiving break, I went up to the Memorial Stadium and got tested really quick, just to make sure that I wasn't, coming home and bringing anything to my parents or my family. And that was, such a great resource for us this past year. And obviously there's been a lot of FAQs, webinars, tips, things like that online as well that have been super helpful and just helping us be more mindful about how to keep our campus safe. We also have psychological counseling as well. So we do prioritize the mental health of our students just as much as we do our physical health. And so all students are able to use psychological counseling and have a certain amount of free sessions. I think it's like 3 every semester. And so that's a great resource as well. We have our Path to Care Center, which is leading the efforts in preventing, sexual harassment and sexual violence and things like that. Such a great resource for our sexual abuse survivors. We also have our Optometry Eye Center, which is actually located on campus. It's directly correlated with the optometry graduate school. And our graduate students actually work there. And it's a really quick and easy way for students to get some cheap glasses or get some eye routines done if they're needing it. And just some fun other stress relief things. We have a club on campus called Pause for Mental Health. Basically, it's a club that brings puppies onto campus. It may be my favorite student organization here at Cal. I remember before my freshman year going to one of my midterms, just feeling a little bit overwhelmed and stressed out. And I saw one of these cute little puppies on like the main area of our campus, and went over and pet it and just let all the stress go away. And it just helped set the right tone for me going into my midterm. And then we also have this very unique opportunity called Llama Palooza. You can see a student taking a picture with the llama in the top right-hand corner. And this is something that happens every single semester. Dead Week, the week before our finals week, they bring llamas onto Memorial Glade, and students can just go and hang out and feed llamas and take selfies of llamas and, send them to their friends to make everyone else jealous that they're not at Cal because we bring llamas. So if that's not a reason for you to come to Cal, I don't know what is, but that's honestly such a fun event. And so much so, it's such a Berkeley staple that even when we were during COVID, we had Llama Palooza on Minecraft. And so they brought llamas to Memorial Glade virtually as well. So yeah, there's a lot of health and safety resources that we have for you guys here.
So moving on to campus safety services, as I mentioned before, since Berkeley is in a metropolitan area, safety is of course a valid concern for many incoming students and particularly parents. But I'll just preface this by saying that I've never felt unsafe on Berkeley's campus or around Berkeley's campus, and that is in large part due to the resources and the programs that Berkeley has instituted to make students feel safe and facilitate a culture of awareness and safety. So I think one of the best resources for safety that we have around campus is our blue light pole system, which is sort of what it sounds like. You might be familiar with these poles if you've gone on any sort of college campus visit. They're pretty popular, but essentially they're blue light poles scattered throughout campus. If you have any safety concerns, you can go up to them, press the button, interact with them, and a trained security officer will be there to assist you with whatever the safety concern is. We also have our own UC Police Department and a Warn Me system, which essentially sends online messages to students delivering any sort of safety information that's happening on or around campus. We also have our residence hall 3-point security system. And as someone who just recently lived in the dorms here on campus, I was definitely feeling safe and secure with this 3-point security system. The 3 points being the main entrance to the building, the entrance to the elevator/stairs, and then of course your individual room itself. In addition to that, we also have night services. Maybe if you're studying late on campus or just find yourself hanging out on campus late at night, we have a system called Bear Walk, which is student run. And essentially it's an escort service where students will walk each other home at night, maybe have a little fun conversation, and basically just get you home safe or wherever you need to be late at night. And I've yet to use this service, but it is definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And in addition, if you're not a fan of walking, we also have a night safety shuttle, which is essentially a shuttle that goes in a loop around campus and can also get you to where you need to go via our bus.
All right, and as students here, we do have an abundance of resources, everything that you could ever need, any support that you might need. We probably have a department for it. So some of them, just to mention, for identity and community, we have the Centers for Educational Justice and Community Engagement. We have the Associated Students of the University of California, or ASUC. I mentioned at the beginning that I was involved with one of our senators this past 2 years, actually. We have the Transfer Student Center to help those who are transfer students. I noticed that we did have one of the, a community college student currently on right now, so that might be a great resource for you. We have the Undocumented Student Center to help those that are undocumented, as well as the Disabled Students Program. So the DSP program honestly is a great resource for those that maybe just need a little bit extra more time or extensions on their deadlines, and professors work really closely with our DSP program to help our students be as successful as possible, as well as the Basic Needs Center for people that maybe financially just need a little bit of support with housing or food or things like that. Like I said, we could spend forever on this slide. There's so many different resources, but if you know that there's one specific thing that you're probably going to need as a student here, please ask it in the Q&A, and someone on our back end will definitely be able to point you to a resource that'll help you with that.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about student life on campus. Student life is alive and well on Berkeley's campus, even during our remote circumstances. We have over 1,000 registered student organizations, and I was able to join a few of them during online formats, even if I wasn't like the most consistent member. I still was able to learn a lot about a few student organizations, and they're all flourishing despite the challenges of COVID, and they're all doing such amazing work. In addition to that, we also have volunteering opportunities and career opportunities to be employed on campus. We have our career center that helps students facilitate job opportunities. And we also have a ton of internship opportunities available, considering our proximity to San Francisco and Silicon Valley as well, especially if you're interested in pursuing something related to tech. Those are great resources to find internships. We also have a study abroad, which is something that I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm not sure where I would potentially study, but it is always something that I've dreamed about doing in college. And then, of course, we have Bay Area exploration. Like I mentioned before, we have the Berkeley Marina and tons of resources for Berkeley students to explore the Bay. There are also hiking trails and the fire trails. There's Grizzly Peak. There are so many amazing places to hike and explore the Berkeley's lush nature scene. And again, that's one of my favorite things about Berkeley, is the way that we sort of reconcile urban life and the natural world. So yeah.
Yes, and speaking about not just, us being cooped up studying at our desks all day, we do have different levels of competition for all of our athletic teams. So Division I is your typical recruited out of high school football, basketball, other types of sports. Then the step down would be club, where maybe you're not recruited out of high school, but you still want to play competitively against other colleges. You can try out for the club team and still get that student athlete experience without the same amount of commitment. And then there's also intramural and recreational sports as well. Like I mentioned, I'm part of IM team during a normal year. And our recreational sports facility, or RSF, is basically our main gym or area where you can have all the access to all the weights and treadmills and basketball courts and volleyball courts and everything you could ever need to try to stay as fit as possible. So that's honestly a great resource, and all of our students have free access to that gym with their student ID. So very, very convenient. California Memorial Stadium is where our football team plays. Haas Pavilion is where our basketball team plays. And we do have 207 Olympic medals, and we're hoping to add a couple more this summer.
So in terms of building community surrounding our remote circumstances, we have a ton of resources to help facilitate online community and social networks. We also have several student groups and clubs that are continuing to function online. And we've made a lot of online adaptations as an institution to help facilitate those connections between students and professors and librarians. I just mentioned librarians because during a research assignment last semester, I was able to form a really cool relationship with our human rights librarian. And that was just due to the way that Berkeley helped connect me virtually to my professors and of course my librarians. So I think that's pretty cool. But we also have department webinars and professional and personal development opportunities, as well as guest lectures. Last semester, I was also able to witness Marianne Williamson give a quick lecture. She was a 2020 presidential candidate, if you're not familiar with her, but she gave a really inspiring and tailored talk, which I really appreciated. And in addition to that, we also have Golden Bear Orientation, which helps basically advise and prepare students to start their journey at Cal. And through Golden Bear Orientation, I was able to connect with people who were pursuing similar academic interests as me, as well as social interests. And I was able to form a really cool friendship and study groups that way also. So that's a really great resource for facilitating connections before you even start here at Cal.
For sure. Some of my best friends I made through GBO, so definitely highly encourage you to take full advantage of that. We're going to speed through these next few slides because I know that we're starting to run out of time, but we do have 24 official libraries on campus that hold over 13 million different volumes, which is kind of crazy to wrap your mind around. And if for some reason for a research paper, you go to all 24 libraries and look through all 13 million volumes and realize, wow, they don't have the one volume that I need. We do have access to extensive online resources as well. With your Cal ID, you have things to access like JSTOR and everything online that you might need to have for your research papers. Regarding research, we do have a program called URAP, or the Undergrad Research Apprenticeship Program, which is the main program that most students go through to find research opportunities, both in Berkeley, on campus, and in the Bay Area. There's also departmental opportunities as well. And of course, you can always go to office hours and talk to your professors and see if they have any research opportunities as well. Once again, yeah, if you're more interested in research, please ask in the Q&A and they can point you to more resources.
And then here's just a quick overview of some of our famous alumni and professors. One of our more recent famous professors is Jennifer Doudna, who recently won the 2020 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for her work with genome editing using CRISPR. And you'll also see Stephen Chu here, Beverly Cleary, Chris Pine, Janisha Adams, Steve Wozniak, and Alex Morgan. You may or may not be familiar with them, but we are super proud to call them Berkeley famous alumni and professors.
And yes, I feel like Sophia already touched a little bit about campus highlights and the mix between, urban and rural here at Berkeley, but we really do have a really great mix between the two. On campus, we have redwoods and we have squirrels and amazing hikes in the Berkeley Hills that, are actually pretty well known too for those that are actually really into hiking. We have Strawberry Creek running through our campus, but then, we have San Francisco in, just a 20-minute train ride away, and it's super accessible and easy to go to. And I feel like we really do have the best of both worlds of both urban and rural. And there's so much to do, honestly. I thought like, oh, I'm going to go to Berkeley. There's nothing to do in Berkeley, but there's almost too much to do in Berkeley. There's so many things on my list that I want to get done before I graduate. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all of it, but yeah, there's definitely a really good mix between the two. And with that, we're going to go to our Q&A.
Thank you both for giving such an awesome presentation. It was super informative, and I love all of your personal anecdotes. We'll go ahead and jump straight into the Q&A, and we're going to start with our first question. An attendee is wondering which majors are the most popular or have the best reputations at UC Berkeley. And Emmeline, maybe you can take this one.
Ooh, okay, this is a good question. This might be a little bit of a cop-out, but honestly, all of our majors have really good reputations. I don't feel like there's one where students are like, oh, they're that major. Like they're not getting a good education because honestly, all of our programs, all of our colleges here are world renowned, and we're learning from literally the best. We have so many Nobel Prize winners as professors and things like that. But in terms of most popular, I would say that we have a lot of computer science majors. We have a lot of people who are interested in engineering. Our engineering program here is really great. And probably I would say all of our chemistry majors as well. Those that are studying in the College of Chemistry, it's really competitive to get in for a reason because it is literally number one in the entire world. Like Sophia mentioned, we have 16 discovered elements here, and no school, no place, no research lab is ever going to be able to discover that many in our lifetime or beyond. And so yeah, I guess in a way to kind of settle that question, you're not going to have a wrong thing to study here, but those are some of the most popular. I think economics also is a really popular one as well. If you're hoping to go the more business route, there's a lot of econ students. But yeah, I would say those four-ish are probably the most popular at Berkeley.
Yeah, I think Emmeline like hit it perfectly. There's also statistics online, so I encourage you to honestly just Google it. Something will pop up. But like Emmeline said, no matter what major you decide to go into, there's world-renowned experts that are teaching. So you'll get a fantastic education regardless of your major or even the college you decide to go to. So thank you so much, Emmeline. So for our next question, which I think is super insightful, especially for those of you that are considering UC Berkeley, a little bit about Berkeley story. So we'll go ahead and start with Sophia. And what's a Berkeley story? So tell us a little bit about why Berkeley, your experience here at Berkeley, the Berkeley story.
Yeah, for sure. So my Berkeley story actually starts as a little kid. My parents actually met at Berkeley Law School. So I kind of grew up coming to Cal Games and kind of meandering around campus, getting to know the area a bit. And I also had family in the Berkeley area, so I was familiar with Berkeley as a city as well from a really young age. And of course, I was impressed with the academic standing and rigor of this institution and its reputation on a global scale. But what really caught my attention from a young age was, like we talked about during the tour, the culture of Berkeley, the culture of change making and its long history of supporting innovation and diversity and student advocacy as an institution. And so that was really important to me from a really young age, and it was really important to me during my college search as well. And ultimately, I wanted to go to a university that would support my growth as, yes, of course, a student, but also as a person. And I wanted to be challenged as well as supported in my growth. And I really felt like I was best suited to do that at Berkeley. And, I was completely right about that as a Berkeley student today. I feel like no matter what I choose to pursue at this university, I will be supported by a diverse community of people who are passionate about what they're studying and pushing me to really look beyond the surface and challenge myself to really make a substantive difference in whatever I'm choosing to do. So ultimately, that's why I decided to come to Cal, and I could not be happier.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Sophia. Emily?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. My just to relate to your story, Sophia, my mom also came to Cal, but I was kind of in a different boat where I was like, oh no, mom, like there's no way I'm going to go to Cal. I want to trek my own path. I heard that the academic rigor was going to just be too competitive, and I was like, I don't want to deal with that. I had also heard about like the political activism on campus. That was something I was never really exposed to in high school, and so that really intimidated me. And even Berkeley area, when I came on my campus tour in person, I was honestly unimpressed. But I was like, okay, mom, it's no more work for me. I don't have to write another essay. If you want to click the button for UC Berkeley, that's fine, but there's no way I'm going there. If it'll make you happy, that's the only reason why I'm applying. But based on, a bunch of different factors that I had to consider and the other schools that I ended up getting into, UC Berkeley was a school that just made the most sense financially and location wise and things like that for my family. But let me tell you, every single day since I've been here, I've been proven time and time again why Berkeley really should have been my dream school in the first place. And I really mean that. Yes, academics can be hard. We're not going to lie and say that all of our classes are a piece of cake because we're the #1 public university in the world for a reason, right? But we're studying from the best of the best. And the people that you're surrounded with in your classes really are going to be the people that go into office and make a difference and are going to be famous one day for innovating this creative way to solve climate change or things like that. And so yeah, it's hard, but it's definitely possible and doable to be successful in your classes too, as long as you time manage well. Regarding the political activism, even though that was something that I was intimidated by, I've learned to really grow an appreciation for those that go out of their way to protest or to advocate for their right, for what they believe in on campus, whether it's something I agree with or not. There's at least that respect of, oh wow, they're taking time out of their busy schedules to do something that they feel like is important and will make a difference. And regarding the campus, honestly, I don't even have an excuse. I don't know why I didn't like the campus when I first came. Maybe it was just me and my mentality of like, oh, I'm not going to go here, so I didn't even consider it. But I mean, just like, look at our backgrounds. This is something that we get to walk through every single day on a campus. And Berkeley as a town, truly there's no other college city like it. It's a true college town. And like I said, there's so much to do both in Berkeley and in the Bay Area. And so to conclude, I would say, if you had any of those hesitancies that I did, or any others that might scare you, or, maybe make you a little bit fearful of coming to Cal, maybe thinking you're not cut out for it, still apply. Honestly, I think Berkeley is such a great place to have a college experience. Your college experience is what you make of it. And I really think Berkeley is the best place to do it. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Emmeline. Literally have goosebumps. I always love hearing everybody's Berkeley stories because every Berkeley student is just so unique and everyone's journey is different. And like Emmeline said way earlier in the tour, we are the #1 public research institution in the entire world, and it is definitely the students that make us that awesome school. Before we say goodbye, here are just some resources to stay in contact with us. We have a UVisit tour, which you can visit at uvisit.com/Berkeley. So this is an awesome, immersive, comprehensive tour of the Berkeley campus because unfortunately we are not on campus at the current moment. So I highly encourage you to check that out. You can follow us on Instagram at Visit UC Berkeley. You can email tour@berkeley.edu and a student ambassador will answer your question. So maybe these awesome, fantastic Berkeley stories just sparked some sort of question. Email us and a student ambassador will answer it from the student perspective. You can visit the Bear Talk blog for more of that student perspective and learn more about the day of a life in a campus ambassador at beartalk.berkeley.edu. We have more recorded virtual visits available on our YouTube channel at Visit UC Berkeley. You can hear even more personal anecdotes there. We recently celebrated 150 years of women. You can learn more about that at 150w.berkeley.edu. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a separate admissions presentation. You can sign up for that and learn more about it at admissions.berkeley.edu/visit. We have separate student panels, which are kind of like this Q&A. So maybe you want to get more of your questions answered. I highly encourage you to sign up. And I know some of you are interested in the College of Engineering. We actually have a separate College of Engineering visit. So highly encourage you to check that out as well. You can find more information about that at visit.berkeley.edu. And last but not least, just want to say a huge thank you to all of the attendees for spending an hour of the day. Thank you to the ambassadors for giving such an awesome tour. And here at UC Berkeley, we love ending things off with Go Bears. So if the ambassadors will unmute themselves, and on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Go Bears!
Bears!